I don't know, but I like her,
Yeah.
and I don't like anybody.
I just want them to stop talking. So we're back with some more of Taltos. We didn't get as far as we wanted to.
Which is a trend.
Yeah.
Look,
This is like a struggle point for us right now. I think
I'm
it's
over it.
to me, I'm not even mad. Um
No.
it's dumb. I'm rolling my eyes a lot. But I am bored and I am reading like 3 other books on Kindle. I have another 2 books that are just like sitting out with bookmarks in them that I'm trying to read too. And I don't have time for this shit.
This is not interesting. I also was trying to read. I'm in progress with 3 other books, but it's like I cannot with when I know that I have to do this. It's like, well, I have ADHD, and so in school, with every single assignment of my life, and especially when I was on the newspaper, I wrote every article the day it was due.
Yep.
I literally wait till the last minute when it feels like hell.
Maybe I have ADHD because that is what I do all the time. I don't know what's wrong with me. I know I'm not
It's the
neurotypical, but
audacity. It's a huge ADHD trait to push it until the last minute. And I always am like, this is ridiculous. I should start now. My body won't.
yeah.
It won't. I mean, like, really, the gist of this chunk that we read. First of all, nobody cares about Marklin and Tommy. Don't give
No.
them chapters.
Well,
It's
I
literally nothing.
the one that she like 15, that was the one I stopped at when I was taking notes. I really feel like that was just her way of showing us that they weren't on Stuart's trail anymore, so like they weren't going to catch up because they like go back to the Talamasca house and it's like a snore. It's nothing. There's nothing of any substance going on there. There's just like what you would expect honestly from somebody of their age,
Yeah.
like freaking out about that they didn't, like they might get in trouble for the stupid shit that they did, which valid, you should get in trouble for being stupid, but
And murderers.
mm-hmm.
You definitely
i'm not
should.
i'm
That
not
chapter
super
was fine, but the second Marklin and Tommy chapter, it was actually nothing.
yeah.
Marklin's like, I'm gonna leave, and Tommy's like, don't be an idiot. You're being suspicious. That's what the whole chapter was. And he was like,
Yeah,
fine, but after the funeral or whatever, I'm leaving. Okay, who cares? They can't find. They don't know Stuart.
they're really boring.
Yeah.
And again, I think that there's a lack of characterization there. Like I don't really know who they are, like what they're supposed to be, except for like I feel like they're the way of taking the responsibility for killing Aaron off of Stuart, so he has some value to
Yeah, but
them.
Stuart doesn't. Yes, I think that's true. But Stuart's responsible.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially because I just feel like they are too stupid and too young and inexperienced, and not they seem to not understand how the Talamasca works. So it seems
A
like
noob.
it's kind of like Stewart's fault for getting them involved. Um, Also, I'm not clear on how they killed Aaron. Did they hire a mercenary or something? Like I
It
just
wasn't even a mercenary. It was like an inexperienced guy. It was literally like a rando that they were like, all right, now run this guy over. And it took him a week to run Aaron over. Like a random.
yeah, they're idiots. Not compelling characters at all. Um, I don't know. And like I said, there's like really no personality to it. Aside from like her listing who's talking, you can't, there's like not a separate narrative voice there.
No.
Um, it's definitely like when I open up the chapter and I see Marklin and Tommy as like the dialogue tags, I'm just like, oh, okay.
Mer So that's the most boring bit.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next bit is Mona and Mary Jane. Mona's behavior is weird. All of this is really weird. everyone knows that Michael's the dad, and this is what I'm talking about. Everybody knows. Ryan's like, well, it's Michael, isn't it? Mary Jane's like, well, it was so obvious, isn't it, Michael? I thought you were happy. Why is everyone happy about this old man impregnating this 13-year-old girl? Why? Yes, we're bringing it up every episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gross.
Yes.
Um, the other thing about it is it's just like I do appreciate. I don't get me wrong. I do appreciate that they're at first Mona is very kind of like suspicious of Mary Jane, like in the
Yes.
initial chapters we see, and she kind of like talks down to her mentally a little bit and kind of says some sarcastic shit, which is normal teenage behavior.
Mm.
Um, but they kind of kumbaya by chapter 14. They're like
Yeah, I'm
besties
into
at
that.
that point. And I like that, except for they are both so incredibly cringe. And I
Yeah.
hate both of them. And I want them to both stop talking. So that's my problem.
But they're
It's like
kids,
they're
you
kids.
know?
And that's why like that's why I don't read typically books with characters of that age period, because I'm just like, especially something with like massive stakes like this, it
Mhm.
doesn't for me it's hard, it's difficult because like I said, yeah, they're cringe, of course they are, they're children. um I mean, Mary Jane is, she's like 19,
Yeah,
isn't she?
she's 19, but like she's just been like flying by the seat of her pants. She's a wild swamp
Yeah,
girl, She doesn't even have like a standard education. She was just doing whatever she felt like doing. So she is kind of underdeveloped mentally, I think, you know.
yeah.
But
Well, I think maybe that's part of it, is they're supposed to have all this agency and all of this like worldliness. Both of them kind of have
mhm,
like that thing like where Mona, like maybe she is very like trapped, like she was very sheltered, but
yeah.
she's supposed to be like mature enough to make these decisions as far as Anne's narrative goes, the narrative that she is building.
Mhm.
But they are both not like that at all, and they don't make those type of decisions, they don't make intelligent decisions. So I don't know, it
No.
just kind of it's they're both such contradictory characters, and I don't know. I would like to know her intent with them, like if she meant to make them kind of both like that, or if she just didn't give a fuck and she
That's what it
needed
seems like.
yeah, she, it's like she needed somebody to have another Taltos.
Yes. And like their dialogue is just real weird.
Yeah,
Like it's just real that's I but I don't think she knows how like teenage girls talk to each other.
yeah,
Um I don't know, maybe, but what's really interesting about that? I like them together. I hope that they like their sisterhood grows. I really hope for that. I think it's great, like crazy that they're like, all right, let's just put these two young girls together in this massive house
yeah.
and like leave them there. Eugenie is cooking for them, so they'll stay alive. But Mary Jane, everyone around Mona is like, you're a woman now. You're a woman. You're the designee. You're the heir. You're required to pump out a child. It's fine that you're 13 and it's with your cousin's husband or whatever. That's fine. Mary Jane is the only one who's like, you're too young for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mona made a joke about like being propositioned or whatever, and she's like, "Oh no, you're too young for that." How's the 19-year-old the only one who's got any sensicles?
Yeah, maybe that's kind of why it feels the way it does, is because like in some respects, especially like the way they talk about the world, they're so immature, and
Yeah.
yet you get something like that out of like the least likely character, which again I think it's just so, the way that she's chosen to define these characters is so inconsistent, I think. And maybe it's just because I don't get it, I'm a dummy, or maybe it's because she didn't give a fuck when she was writing.
But Mary Jane, she is super observant. And there was like one point that she said, like, after she was talking about how everybody knows that Michael's the dad, and she's like, well, when Michael Curry's the father, they're either gonna blame her him or blame you, and I think everyone's blaming you, and I'm just like,
Yep. Well,
hey,
Mary Jane is hinted at having like psychic ability
yes,
multiple times. She kind of reads people's minds. And so that is consistent with that kind of character build. The thing that I the thing that I don't understand, because she does have that ability and she was the one who first like figured out, I really want to know like the parameters of her ability and like her observantness, because Mona's like, I'm drinking milk, I want white bread,
hmm,
all this other very Taltos telltale like things
yeah,
that are
rice and
happening.
butter,
Yeah. And she doesn't even want the gravy because the gravy's brown, you know she has to only
yes,
eat white stuff, which is a very weird thing that the Taltos are
it's
about.
racist.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
And then when she's like, oh, here's some like cream gravy or whatever, she's like, hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, why didn't you say there was cream in it, girl? White foods only.
Yeah, which is,
Weird.
yeah.
It's
But
very weird.
that's a Taltos thing. And so like another thing is, if Mona is sensing it because of like, or not Mona,
Mary
Mary
Jane.
Jane is sensing that the baby's there because of like some psychic read that she gets on, like another entity there. Wouldn't you think she would get the idea that it was different than a
I
human?
think she knows that it's different.
Oh,
Um,
you think?
I think she knows. And she does this spooky thing where she just like zombie disconnects and like enters another realm. And Mona's like, Mary Jane, are you okay? Touch my baby.
Mm.
Like touch my baby and basically like tell me if there's anything.
Oh
But
yeah.
I don't think that I think how do I say this? I think Mary Jane is very like spiritually nonchalant.
Mm.
I think she has the extra chromosomes, and I think that she might be like the most powerful
Yeah.
witch, but she's just kind of like meh about it, you know?
Yeah.
I think that maybe that could be saying a lot, but I think that she's the most probably the best pick to have those kinds of powers. She's separate from all of the regular like Mayfair motivations. She's
Mm-hmm.
outside of that, you know. I don't know, but I like her,
Yeah.
and I don't like anybody.
I just want them to stop talking.
Yeah, that's true. And then Ryan is a nincompoop. He comes over and he's like, by the way, there's important boxes in Rowan's room. Don't touch them. They didn't have any idea that those boxes were there. And that's how it confirms that Michael Curry is a Mayfair.
Yeah.
Incomplete lineage.
Yep. Yikes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, incest and underage. It's like a prerequisite. So
Yeah. And then like the final thread in this little segment is
yeah.
Rowan and Stuart and Ash
And
and
Asher and
Michael.
Tessa and Michael and okay, so I want to start out by saying that I actually really liked this chunk.
Hmm.
It I was reading it and I was like, this is kind of what I loved about Anne Rice. Give
Hmm.
me something that's not like regular, that's not disgusting, that's like otherworldly,
Yeah.
so it kind of brought that back for me, and I think she wrote it really well. I was pretty engrossed in it, um but like what a bummer.
Yeah. It very much read like kind of a fairy princess kind of tale thing. And I didn't hate this part at all. But Ash is the least annoying viewpoint for me, except
Yes.
for when he goes at the end of every chapter where she has to put that thing in where like he's gonna, fantasize about, he's practically jerking off over Mona, which luckily she left it out this time. So
Yeah.
that was nice.
Yeah, because like we don't need that, and like
Mm-mm.
Yeah, Ash's viewpoint is the one that I was like, this, I like this. Everyone else is they're weirdos.
Yeah.
Stuart's devotion to Tessa, I'm just wondering, like, how come he doesn't know that she's old as heck?
Right. Well, I mean, it's probably just because he doesn't know a lot about Taltos. It seems like it's kind of something that the Talamasca knows about, but doesn't widely distribute that information among people unless it's like need to know basis, like Aaron, because he was there with the thing. And even then, I feel like Aaron didn't know a lot about what he was dealing
He
with until
didn't.
it happened. Which
He
to
didn't.
me, that just it seems like you're cutting your throat a little bit. Like I get that you don't want it to be like widely known information, but you probably should, let the people that are working on the case know what they're dealing with.
Yeah,
Especially
yeah,
because
and then we
we
wouldn't
have,
be here.
yeah, and we have this hint of Ashler having known about the Talamasca and having like relationship with the Talamasca off and on over who knows. I don't know how old exactly Ashler's supposed to be, but he's definitely old because he's getting the
The
gray
white streak.
streaks. Yeah.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, all of Tessa's hairs are white and she's barren.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna lie, reading this, you know how I feel about the little people and how I feel like they're Jim Henson puppets. I was kind of getting that with
Yeah.
these, like that they're just giant Jim Henson
It's
puppets.
like Big Bird, but a fairy princess.
Yeah, and she was up in a tower and like she was just very sweet and Stuart's like, "Don't hurt her." And I'm like, "No one said that they were gonna kill her. They
Mm-hmm.
just don't like you. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna die today, Stuart." Because and the worst part, Aaron died for nothing. They killed Aaron for no reason. They killed
Yeah.
Aaron for no reason. The whole goal was to get the two Taltos together, and Asher's like, "I can't even make a baby with her."
Mm-hmm.
And Stuart's like, "Oh, don't bone here. Oh, ooh, you have to get married first, sir. Relax."
If she was evil, there wouldn't be a marriage. There would
Oh
just be
no.
there would be a puppet orgy. That's all.
Population.
But I don't know. This wasn't a super compelling chunk of chapters. It was
No,
kind of it was a slog. I was making myself read a chapter before I could read anything else that I'm reading
it
right
felt like
now.
a punishment.
Yeah, it was like I have to do it's like having to do your schoolwork before you work on
Yep.
your novel or whatever. Like I mean that's a very nerdy thing, but that's what I used to do when I was in
My
college.
I can't play The Sims or I cannot go to bed even until I finish this chunk. And my God, it was like pulling my own skin off. Oh, that's such a dramatic thing to say, but like
It's not
where's
bad.
it going?
I it's gonna fizzle really bad. I can tell you that from my
Oh,
memory. It's the thing is this isn't making me mad like the previous books in the same way because it's just
yeah.
there's nothing to really be mad at. It's just
There's
boring.
nothing really there though. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing really there are chunks that we could just take off. This is
Mhm.
what I want to know. I want to know if Asher and Yuri bang. And if they do, I feel like it's probably not with Yuri's consent because this man is ill. Like, get him to a hospital. He is not doing well and he is
Mhm.
traumatized. And
Yeah.
like, what happens when Mona's baby comes out? That's all I want to know. Oh, there was something that I freaking bookmarked that I can't find, and I really need to because they were talking about Lasher. Oh, I can't. I remember what it was. Michael's so gross when he's watching Tessa or whatever, and he like notices Rowan looking at him. I don't know if it was in this order,
Oh
but it was
yeah.
in this scenario, and he's thinking about her decimated womb and how she could make love with Asher if she wanted to, and he wouldn't hurt her because she can't make babies, so she wouldn't get her uterus exploded like the way Lasher killed all those Mayfair ladies. Why is that your train of thought right now, brother?
Michael is an issue. Like Michael is depraved. I have been so vehemently anti Michael from the beginning,
Hmm.
and this type of shit is why. Like he's not right in the head. He's
He's
never
not,
been.
and he's got a shed carpet on his chest. Okay, so many things are wrong with Michael. That's all I got.
Yeah, fuck this. Thank you for listening to the Annegirls Podcast. You can find us on the internet at annegirls.ghostinthemagazine.site.